What is up, everybody? We're rolling audio here today on episode 69 of The Harder Show. Quick little joke in there, because I had to. If you don't understand why that's funny, I'm not going to explain it to you. But moving on from that, I hope you're doing absolutely fantastic today. Thank you so much for tuning in and clicking that play button on today's episode of the podcast. Very, very fun episode for you here today, guys. I am exploring something I discovered the other day. I thought I was the only one who discovered this, but in research, I have found that it is already a thing. But it's something maybe a lot of people don't know about. So I'm going to talk about it because I think it's very interesting. I think it's very funny. So we'll get into that. But before I do, I want to thank everybody for the support on the last two episodes of the podcast. Every single one of you who has taken the time to click the play button. I know I say this all the time, but seriously, thank you so much for doing so. It means the world to me every single time you guys do that. So thank you very much. I know the Gamecast episode with Anthony was well received. I had a couple people message me and say they really enjoyed it. So that's always fun, you know. I'll definitely have Anthony on the podcast again. Probably not for a little while. He's a busy guy. But definitely always a great time whenever Anthony is on. Always fun to talk some gaming. And kind of actually on the gaming news, just real quick, I saw something earlier that I want to kind of talk about real quick. There was a link I saw, and it was of someone is recreating the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. You guys are familiar with that game. It was a Game Boy game. Widely considered one of the best Zelda games. It's one of my favorites in the series as far as Legend of Zelda being my favorite series of video games. Definitely, I would say Legend of Zelda is. I'll probably make that podcast at some point. But Link's Awakening is definitely my favorite out of all the handhelds. Very, very awesome game. And what someone is doing is they are taking it and they are recreating the game in its entirety, from what I understand, puzzles and all, and they're recreating it from the 2D scrolling standpoint to the full 3D modeled after Ocarina of Time. So that's awesome. If you're a Zelda fan, definitely keep your eye out for that. I think if you just search on Google, it'll pop up. It's a YouTube video. I can't remember the guy's name, but definitely check that out. It's very cool. I'm very excited about that. It's only for, of course, for like the ROM and stuff, but it'll be cool either way. So I just wanted to mention that real quick. But I am also getting ready to do another pre-order for the Harder Show t-shirts. Now, if that does interest you, hit me up right away. I already have about 5 or 6 people who want t-shirts. Going to do the exact same style of t-shirt. I might look into doing a kind of like a girl style shirt, if that makes any sense. Maybe like a V-neck or something. I don't know. I'll figure it out, but I'm looking into it. So either way, definitely hit me up and let me know if you are interested. They are unfortunately going to be a little bit more money than they were last time. Last time when I bought them, I talked about it lots before, but last time when I bought them, I actually ended up losing money just because it ended up being a little bit more than what I originally did the pre-order for. But that will not happen this time. So they're probably going to be around $25 for the t-shirt. But I can assure you, every single dollar that I make on them, which really still isn't that much at the end of the whole thing, every dollar I make is going right back into the podcast. So if you are a fan of the podcast, if you enjoy the podcast, or you just want to support me, definitely hit me up for a t-shirt. I will do an official kind of pre-order post, probably sometime next week or somewhere in that ballpark. But just either way, let me know if you're interested, and I will definitely make sure you get one. But what else is going on this week? Well, we had a big week in wrestling. We had Goldberg made his return, which is kind of interesting, this past Monday night on Raw. Very interesting to see him back. Had a decent little heartfelt promo, you know. So, I mean, hey, I marked out for it. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I think that it's maybe a good thing. I guess him and Brock Lesnar are going to have a little battle. Interesting. Probably at WrestleMania, I would assume we're going to see it, because that just makes the most sense to me booking-wise. But definitely very interesting. Hopefully he can perform in the ring, you know. Hopefully he's not I hope he doesn't get too gassed and he just sucks. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. But that's kind of it for what I got to talk about in the intro here today. Like I said, I have a pretty interesting topic for the podcast today, and that is something we're going to discuss. It does involve beards. If you saw my Instagram post, then you already know what the podcast is about. and that is resting beard face. What exactly is resting beard face? Well, we're going to talk about that because I have a story as to why this was brought up to me. But without further ado, we're going to kick into this podcast here. Let's get into it. All right, so we have this very specific topic that we are discussing today, and that is resting beard face. Now, when I say resting beard face, what exactly am I talking about? Is this global phenomenon that I have discovered? Even though with a quick Google search this morning, I have determined I did not think of it first. I wish I did, because I would patent it. I would make t-shirts, and I was going to make t-shirts and tons of memes, and I was going to license it, and I wasn't actually, but I was thinking of making a t-shirt just for kicks. But resting beard face, basically, you got girls in the world who have what you call resting bitch face. Now, resting bitch face is just an unfortunate thing that happens to some people when they are resting, or they are standing still, or they're just kind of staring off blankly in the space. They look like total bitches. And basically what that means is they either just have this look on their face where you're just like, man, that girl looks like a bitch, or like, man, she looks scary, or like, oh, she must be in a bad mood or something. When 9 times out of 10, it's just the way that they happen to look at that exact moment. I can say from experience, my wonderful, amazing, happy, loving girlfriend, Miss Samantha Light, is one of the sufferers of resting bitch face, and she gets told all the time, and she tells me all the time. She'll say people give her weird looks and stuff, and unfortunately, I think that is just because she. I don't see it personally, but apparently she does. Where she'll just, if she's just sitting, kind of staring blankly, or she's sitting watching TV or something, she'll have this look on her face like she's unhappy or upset or something, and it's like, in reality, she could be in the best mood in the world. That's just her resting face. You got people who have resting scary face in the sense of like, they're just like, man, that person looks like they're gonna scream at me if I talk to them. You see people like that all the time, working in the customer service and food industry, more kind of sort of I do. I don't really know what to call what I do, what field I'm in anymore. I guess cleaning, I don't know, whatever. I see customers all the time. I deal with customers all the time, and sometimes you love people who you'll just see, and they'll walk by, and you'll just be like, man, that person looks like a dick, or that person looks like a bitch. Like, I'm not going to talk to them. And you'll have someone who will come walking towards you, and you'll just be like, crap, this will be good. I had a lady the other day. She came walking towards me, and I mean, she looked like she was about to tear my head off. She's had this look, and I kind of braced myself, like I kind of was like, and she comes over, and I'm like, here we go. And she's like, excuse me, I just have a quick question about this or whatever. Like, she was so nice, so pleasant. And I was like, oh yeah, like, of course, like, blah, 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 blah. Like, I think she was looking for directions for somewhere. And she's like, oh, like, perfect, thank you so much. And I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I'm just like, I'm sorry? Like, what? She's like, oh, I could tell when I was walking towards you, you kind of like got yourself ready. Like, I looked like I was going to yell at you. And she kind of chuckled a little bit. Like, I could tell she was, I could kind of, I was like, oh, well, like, no, I just, blah, blah, blah. Like, she's like, oh, well, it's okay. I have resting bitch face, so I understand. And I was like, oh, no, it's not that at all. Like, just, and she's like, no, like, I really do. I know I do. It's my curse. But she says at the same time, it's also my gift, because if I don't want someone to talk to me, I just give them resting bitch face and they leave me alone. And I'm like, fair enough. But then she says, it's a two-way street, because when this happens, a situation like this, she's like, I just wanted to ask you a question, but if you were just some random person on the street, you probably would have been an asshole to me the second I walked up to you. I mean, me personally, I wouldn't be, but some people might be, just because they'll be like, oh, this person's going to be a bitch, so then they're a dick to you. I know it's happened to Sam before, where we go into a retail store or something, or, she would deal with a customer or something like that at her old job, where they'd be like, oh, like, they just automatically be an asshole to her or a bitch to her. And she'd be like, what do I do to deserve this? I'm nice to everybody, right? Like, what the hell? And maybe that's why. Maybe this resting bitch face thing is just, it's people's excuse to be assholes. They're like, oh, well, I have resting bitch face, so I have to be a bitch all the time. I know I had one woman in particular who I know does not listen to the podcast ever. She never, ever would. And even if she did, I wouldn't care because I told her this to her face many times. She used to come into gigs all the time. And she was the parent of a student that we had. And this is nothing against the student or against her personally. She was nice enough, but she had moments where she was just horrible to deal with. And I shouldn't say things like this on the podcast, but whatever. I think it's funny. I know people think this kind of stuff is funny. So, she used to come in, and she was total resting bitch face, right? But she would actually be a bitch, like, all the time. Doesn't matter what was going on. I think the one time it was like Christmas, and I was like, "Oh, Merry Christmas." We'll call her James Hetfield. Because I'm looking at a picture of James Hetfield. I was like, oh, Merry Christmas, James Hetfield. And she's just like, yeah, I guess Merry Christmas to you as well. Like, and I was like, oh, like, is everything okay? Like, yeah, never better. I'm in a great mood. Why would you ask? And like, she would always be like this, right? So finally, the one day I just said to her, I'm like, do you not like me? Like, have I done something to upset you? Because every time you come in here, you are always rude to me. You always argue with me on stuff, and just like you're making my job way harder than it needs to be. And some people would say, well, this isn't how you talk to customers when you're in a management role. But in that situation, I was like, no, I've had enough. It's been a few months now, and she's always a bitch to me. I've had enough. So I one day I just called her on it, and she was like, oh no, dear, like, I really like you. I think you're a great guy. You're always so wonderful with my kids, and like blah 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 blah. Like, we love this store. We love you. Like, you're great. And I'm like, so then why are you always a bitch to me? Like, I didn't say it like that, obviously, but I just said, why are you always rude to me then? Like, I don't understand. And she's like, oh, well, as you've probably noticed, I have total resting bitch face, right? I'm like, okay, sure. Like, I don't necessarily agree with you, but okay. What do you say in that position, right? I just kind of agreed with her. I just kind of shook my head. I was like, I don't really agree with that, but okay, yeah. Like, trying to make her feel better. And she's like, so I automatically assume everyone's going to be an asshole to me at all times because I have total resting bitch face. I just look like a bitch. I'm like, okay. She's like, so by default, I'm always a bitch to people. I'm like, but that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you, if people are like, oh, look at that bitch over there, she's going to be a bitch, let's be an asshole to her. If you walk over and immediately you're defensive and a bitch, of course people are going to treat you like crap. It's just, it's the basics of like human emotion. If you're serving a customer at McDonald's, so you work at McDonald's, you're serving a customer, and you're at the drive-thru. You go, welcome to McDonald's. What can I get for you today? Yeah, I want this. Guess what? The way that person's probably going to answer is, okay, would you like fries with that? Like, and that's why I can't work like in the food industry as far as like behind the counter and that kind of thing, because I just can't. I'm a firm believer in treat people the way you want to be treated. And if you give people certain energy and like speak to them in a certain tone and give them certain body language, generally speaking, they should give it back to you. Which is why I'm a firm believer in leave stuff at home as far as when you're going into work. I say that to all my people that I work with. Just, if someone's having a bad day, just say, look, everyone's allowed to have a bad day. Everyone's allowed to have stuff going on at home and that kind of thing. But for yourself and for everyone you work with, leave it at the door. Even myself, I'm bad for that too. If I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed one morning, I'll go into work and I'll kind of be a little grumpy. But you know what? I'll check myself and say, you know what? No, I need to leave this at the door. Once I walk through these doors, I need to be a happy person because I want to make sure that everyone I deal with, who are employees of the building and that, doesn't think of me negatively because of something that happened one day because I was in a bad mood, or that I don't affect customers' day, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to make their day better. So it's kind of one way to put it. This has gone way off what I was originally going to talk about, but I'm going to run with it because I want to get this point out. I can say even from experience, I used to say to all my teachers and part-timers and that, like, hey, when we're in the store, I mean, we're in a place where our job is to make people happy. Our job is to serve customers and make them happy. We're giving the gift of music in a way, right? So like, how can we ever be upset about that and be in a bad mood about that or whatever? But it would still happen where, you know, you'd come in and I'd be in a terrible mood about something, and I'm the worst person for it. Because I am a very emotional person, especially when I'm angry. When I'm sad, I'm not so bad. Like I can kind of hide that, but like when I'm angry, oh, it's so bad. I'm the worst person for it. Even when I was at gigs, like I was the worst person for it. My regular customers wouldn't know if I was like in a bad mood or something. They'd walk in and be like, "You doing okay there, buddy?" Like I'm just the worst person for it. I don't know why. But at the same time, I attract people like that as well. I don't know why. I had customers who came into the store who they weren't even customers of the store. They just like needed to rant about their bad day to somebody. So they chose me for some reason. I have that happen at work too. You know, just customers will be walking by and I'll notice if I see somebody and they just look like they're having a terrible day, because you can tell. You know, sometimes I'll just, you know, "Hey, how are you today, sir?" Or "How are you today, ma'am?" or whatever. Even if they have resting bitch face or resting beard face. Which resting beard face we will get into. I'll say, "Oh, like, how you doing today?" And 9 times out of 10, they'll rant to me about something. And then afterwards, I'll know they'll feel better. So it's like, hey, maybe that's the role I have to play in this life. Maybe I am an empath. Is that what it is? I think. Basically, where people who are negative or who have negative energy are drawn to you because you give off this positive energy, and they want to basically take it from you because they're depleted of it. I don't know if I'm quite that way, but maybe I am. I don't know, because I always seem to attract those kind of people, which is why I don't like to associate with overly negative people anymore, just because I don't have time for it. But resting bitch face, back to that. There are, like I said earlier, you know, there are women and girls in the world who just, they're cursed with this face. And even people that I work with, some people, you know, even if I'll see them and I'll be like, "Okay, is this person resting bitch face right now? Or are they actually in a bad mood? Should I talk to this person?" And 9 times out of 10, it turns out that they're just, you know, resting bitch face. There's one person in particular who I work with, and this kind of how this whole resting beard face thing came into play. The other day at work, I was kind of hanging out doing my thing, and I came into the back to grab something, and this individual, she said to me, she's like, "You need to smile more." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "Well, you always look like you're in a bad mood." And I'm like, "I'm in a great mood today. I'm like basically hopping around this building like I'm in a great mood today." And she's like, "Well, you don't look like it though." And I was like I'm just blank. Like I don't have any expression. And she's like, "Oh, well, maybe you're like me and you're resting bitch face." And we kind of had a chuckle about it, and I walked away. And then I came back, and she was talking with someone who had worked there when I started, and he had known me without my beard. And he kind of commented, he's like, "Oh, you got TJ who looks angry all the time. It's not his fault though, it's his beard." And I was like, "Yeah, I have resting beard face." And it just clicked like that, and they thought it was hilarious. And so now the big joke is "Oh, you gotta shave your beard because you always look angry." I don't necessarily know if that's true. I think I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky looking guy, but maybe resting beard face is actually a thing. I don't know, but I can tell you with experience that there are people in my past and that who had admitted to me that they're like, "Yeah, at first I didn't want to talk to you." "Well, why?" "Because you looked really scary." I'm like, "What?" Like, "Yeah, you looked really scary." I'm like, "What do you mean I looked scary?" "Oh, it was the beard. Like you had this look on your face like you were about to like eat a puppy." And I'm like, "What?" I'm gonna eat a puppy. Okay, I don't know about any of that, but I kind of wanted to explore this whole resting beard face thing more because I thought it was funny. Kind of comparing it back to resting bitch face. There are individuals you'll see sometimes walking around in the world who will have the big beards. Like I don't have a big beard. I have like a kind of a normal medium-sized beard. Doesn't hang down or anything, but it's just long enough, I think, that it can kind of give off the vibe of, I have a beard, therefore I'm some rough and tough dude or whatever, and that's not necessarily the case anymore. Beards are so common nowadays. They're almost like a fashion accessory nowadays, which I don't necessarily agree with. I think that's kind of lame, how much beards have been kind of made, I guess, mainstream. I don't really want to use that word, but as someone who's always had a beard and also always worn a toque, by the way, I've been rocking the beard and toque look since like 2008. So anyone who saw my Instagram post of the resting beard face meme I made of myself, don't think that I'm trendy, because I'm not. I've been rocking that look forever. I've had that toque for as long as I can remember. Don't worry, I wash it regularly. But it's funny how you'll just... I'll be out walking around now, and I'll notice people will kind of treat me differently. So I say at work, like, people who will come up to ask me a question. Most people are cool, like they'll come up and like, hey, like, blah, 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 blah. But there are some people who will kind of hesitate, and like, I'm just like, what? Why? Is it because I'm a bigger dude? Like, they're kind of like, oh, like, I don't know about this guy. He's got a beard and he's a big guy. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. So I would ask people like, oh, like, do I give off this vibe of like that I'm a very angry person and you shouldn't talk to me or anything? Like, I'll be walking around at work and people will be like, oh, are you okay? And I'm like, what do you mean, am I okay? I'm fine. Like, I'm great. I'm in a good mood. They're like, oh, well, you don't look like it. And that sucks. 'Cause it's like, damn, like, I love my beard and I want to have my beard, and I love some beard culture and that kind of thing, I guess, if you want to put it that way. I can't believe I just said that. But, and it's like, I don't want people to think this way about me, which is why I'm trying to make light of it with this whole resting beard face thing. I mean, I guess there's worse things that you can be perceived as than, oh, that guy's probably an asshole because he has resting beard face. I don't know, but I feel this is something we need to bring to the world to make them understand that this does not necessarily mean we are bad people or we are angry people. But it's just like, I know some people would agree I looked happier without a beard. Probably because I have baby face. I totally do have baby face too. If you see old pictures of me, like from like even like a few months ago without my beard, I had total baby face. Even though I have like 6 chins, I still have baby face, which I don't even know if that's possible, but it is now because I said so. But like I said, I know there's definitely worse things, but beards can be so much work too. Like, there's nothing worse than, I do put some work into my beard now. I never used to. Like, I would just let it grow and call it a freaking day. But now it's like, I actually put work into it, and like, I want to take care of it and that kind of thing. And so when people are like, oh, you have resting beard face, it's kind of a bummer. I mean, I know me personally, I'll be out somewhere, and if I see like a big biker dude and he's got a big long beard, it's like, oh, that's a scary looking dude. I'm not gonna mess with him. But then if I see the same dude without a beard, I'll be like, that's just some dude. So maybe I'm the same way. I think traditionally, like, when I think of beards, I think of like, I don't know, lumberjacks and like rough, tough dudes and metalheads and Vikings and warriors and this kind of thing. So it's like, it's funny to me that they've kind of become so trendy, because when I think of beards, that's kind of what I think of. So maybe that's why I associate people who have like these big long beards and that with people who are potentially like angry, aggressive people. I guess, I don't know, but I think it's pretty funny. I don't know. Maybe some of it is to do with maybe that day when that whole resting beard face thing came out was because I didn't use the conditioner in my beard or something that day, and I looked a little gruffier. I don't know. I know that this is becoming like a beard cast almost at this point, but I know that sometimes if I don't like comb my beard properly or whatever, I can totally like look like a freaking bum, I guess, for lack of a better term. Which is why you always take care of your beard, guys. Because if you don't take care of your beard, you're going to look like a bum. There's just no other way around it. But I know that if I let my beard grow any more than it already is, which right now it's getting a little unruly. I need to taper back a little bit. I would totally look like a friggin' like serial killer or something. I don't know. I think it's some people will say to me like, oh, you have a beard. So like I've had people walk up to me and be like, hey bro, do you like use any like conditioner or anything on your beard? Like I'm like, really? Like what kind of a fucking question is that? But I guess it's just the culture nowadays with beard guys. There are people who will treat me differently when I have a beard, which is kind of funny because I mean, people who we have a plumber who comes in all the time at work, and he's a bearded brother, right? And when I first started working there, I had never beard. I mean, he's always nice to me, but like he was just kind of normal everyday dude. And then when I started growing my beard, he was like super cool to me, which is kind of funny because someone perceives, oh well, he has a beard and I have a beard, so we should be friends. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, folks. I'll admit this right now. If I see a dude with a beard and I have a chance to talk with this individual, maybe be friends with this individual, I totally would, because he has a beard. I'll admit that. I don't not like people with beards or anything like that. It's just I'm probably more likely to be friends with you if you have a beard. That's just the reality of the situation. I mean, I can say the Mark Matthew Cannons has a beard. The heel Ryan Wood has a beard. The producer Brandon Bowden sometimes has a beard. Two Count Garrett Coles generally has some kind of a beard scruff type deal. And I know I'm forgetting lots of people, but this is off the top of my head as far as people who you guys might know. One of my only friends who doesn't have a beard and who doesn't really grow beards is 2027's Man of the Year, Mr. Adam Litlop. Sometimes he'll grow a mustache, but mustaches aren't cool anymore, so he doesn't grow it out. But it's funny how you can be perceived as such with something as stupid as some facial hair, because I literally just... it makes me laugh, but it's totally true. Like I said, I think it was the other day I was in Shoppers, buying some beard product actually, which is kind of friggin' hilarious. Hit me up if you're a beard enthusiast. Hit me up what kind of products you use, because I'm curious, because I want to start kind of researching this more and getting into some different products. The stuff I use is from Shoppers. It's like Perosa or something like that. It's nice. I just use the beard wash and that kind of thing. Maybe I'll go over some beard tips in just a little bit here if anyone's interested in that at all. I have more to talk about other than that, but I think that might be kind of interesting. But I was at Shoppers and I'm sitting there looking for something, and this dude kind of walks up to me and he's kind of looking at me, and he's a bearded brother. And he kind of just walks up to me and kind of nods at me, and we're both looking at the same thing. I can't remember what the hell it was. Actually, I think it was the beard product. And he picks up what he needs or whatever, and he goes to walk away, and he turns around and he's like, "Nice beard, bro." And like, I'm just kind of like, "Thanks, man." Like, it's so weird. Like there are these people out in the world who they will perceive. Like I could tell, like this guy, like if I wanted to, I could have like talked to this guy and probably gone out for a beer just because I had a beard. Like it's funny how that will work out, how just people will literally perceive you in that way. Just like there are people at work I talk with who, like I said, they would perceive me as, oh, like, I don't know about you, like you look kind of angry all the time. And I'm like, no, I just have resting beard face. So I'm going to probably get a t-shirt that just says, no, I just have resting beard face. I think it's like I said, because my beard's a little thicker and longer right now than it usually is, but maybe that's why. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe this whole resting beard face isn't a thing. I think it's hilarious. I think it totally is a thing. Resting bitch face is definitely much more prominent, but I think we can mostly agree that people with beards You take a normal average dude who is clean shaven, you give him a beard, he's probably going to look a little tougher. He's probably going to look a little angrier. And he's going to just look slightly more badass. Because people with beards are just awesome. And I love them very much. Case in point, Mr. Oliver Queen from Arrow. He looks much more badass with some stubble on his face and a beard. Just saying. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But just real quick here for my bearded brothers and for maybe some newly bearded brothers, I have a couple very, very quick beard tips. The number one thing that I have to say to you guys, and I wish I had some kind of a sponsor to go with this because it'd be the best placement. But that is, guys, keep your beards clean and keep them soft. Now, if you're in a position like me, my girlfriend was not the biggest fan of beards. She's going to love my beard, but she always hated, especially when it was growing in the stubble and that kind of thing, and how she always would say the same thing. She'd be like, "Oh, like it hurts. Like when you like kiss me, it scratches my face. I hate it, blah blah blah," and all that stuff. So I'd be like, "Oh, I got to do something to figure this out." So when I started using beard products and started using my beard wash and oil and stuff like that, like immediately there was a big difference, and it was cleaner and it smelled nice, and it was like, oh, this is great. It was easier to maintain, so it's not like all straggly and gross and that kind of thing. So definitely go buy yourself some beard wash or beard oil or something, or join like, I think it's like Dollar Beard Club. They are like a monthly delivery service. They deliver all that kind of stuff. Very good stuff. Me personally, like I was saying, I got my stuff at Shoppers. It's Peroso or something like that. It's cool. It works really good. It smells nice. Very easy to use. And then I just have like a basic beard comb that I use to help tame the beast a little bit. But the other kind of tip I have for you guys is, always make sure you maintain it as you're going it. I know I was bad for that in the beginning with my beard. I wouldn't like comb it or anything. You kind of have to train your beard in the way it grows. I am the worst for like friggin' messing around with my beard and playing with my beard and shit. I don't know why I'm like that. I just am. I don't know why I do it. Sam hates it. But there are parts of my beard that grow very weird now because of that. And it sucks. So I try to comb them out now and try to kind of train my beard and my hair the way where I want it to grow. So definitely keep that in mind when you're growing it out. And the final thing I have to say to you guys, this is very, very important. Most women will agree that neck beards are weak and they are just not attractive. So avoid the neck beard at all costs. Shave your neck beard at all costs. Okay, what exactly is the neck beard? What am I talking about? Okay, guys, all you need to do, take a finger, find where your Adam's apple is, okay? And basically anything from there down, always make sure you shave that shit, okay? Never, ever leave it. I'm doing it right now if you can't hear. I'm messing around. Always make sure you shave. I'm touching my Adam's apple right now. From there down, get rid of it. Doesn't matter what it is, just get rid of it. You don't have to do it quite that low. You can go a little higher if you want, but if you're a big chinned individual like myself, you leave a little bit more. But definitely avoid the neck beard because that's just weak sauce, guys. Don't do it. Doesn't matter if people say you look good. You don't look good. I'm sorry, you just don't. Get rid of that shit. Shave the neck beard, ladies and gentlemen. Hashtag shave the neck beard. Hashtag beard facts with TJ. All right, guys, just want to take a quick second here to give a big shout out to the first ever sponsor and big time supporter of the Harder Show, my man, Mr. Jason Reese over at Jaybird Digital Arts. Now, what exactly does Jason do? Well, if you guys need any kind of logos, t-shirts, posters, album design, tickets, photo manipulation, you guys still with me? Advertising, business stationery, mailers, brochures, fine art, and literally anything else you can think of, Jaybird Digital Arts can create it. No project is just a generic template, and every single job is a new opportunity to create something unique. Jason's done all the Harder Show logos, t-shirts, banners, and even a meme here and there, so I can promise you that you will love and be inspired but what Jason comes up with. You can find him on the web at www.jaybird, that's Jaybird, digitalarts.com. Or you can find him on Facebook under the Jaybird Digital Arts handle, as well as on Instagram. If you happen to use his services, be sure to let him know that TJ sent you. But kind of on the topic of how people can be perceived and that kind of thing, something else I want to talk about today. A lot of miserable fucking people in the world. Just to say that bluntly. A lot of really miserable people in the world. People who are just unhappy and upset and that kind of thing. For whatever reason. I'm not talking about people who are suffers of depression or anxiety or that kind of thing. That's not at all what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people who just literally, they have no reason. They're just miserable people. We all know someone in our life who is just a miserable person. No matter what's going on, no matter how happy they might be at the time, you know, there's always someone who's just generally a miserable, very negative person. I don't like to associate with negative people anymore. I can't do it. People who always seem to have something going on, or they're always mad about something, or they're always holding a grudge against people. I mean, I'm someone who, I'm bad for grudges. I do hold grudges, but I can get over them. It's people who literally, no matter what you do, they can't get over their own shit, or they are just the most miserable people you've ever met. I'm talking people who you're out and about enjoying your day, you're having a good day, and you're walking along and you accidentally bump into some gentleman or something. Oh, sorry about that. And this person turns around and starts screaming at you, and you're like, what the hell, buddy? Like, holy shit, my bad. I mean, this does happen to me a lot. Like I was saying earlier, I'm pretty convinced I'm like an empath or something, or whatever you call those people, who negative people are kind of drawn to me. Not necessarily in my personal life, more so at work. And in my past jobs, I always seem to have people who just, I don't know if I have a trusting face, even though I have a resting beard face, or what the deal is, but they like to confide in me. It seems to happen a lot. I would have times at the store where people would be like just pouring their heart outs to me. And I'm like, hey bro, I'm just trying to sell you some strings, man. Like, you know, I had one guy in particular, he would always come in and he would just, oh my God, guys, he would just like lay out all this stuff. He was going through a rough patch in his marriage. They were getting divorced and all this stuff. And he would just come in and he would just like lay this stuff on me that I don't know what to say. And I'd be like, man, like I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what I can do to help you. And you just want someone to talk to you, just kind of lay stuff out. But what's interesting about this and these miserable people and people who are maybe not miserable people, but they're going through a rough patch and they're actually miserable about something that is meaningful. What's more interesting about this is the people who you think may look miserable or may be perceived as miserable, or who may give off this vibe of being miserable people. Most of the time in my experiences, I will, like I was saying earlier, I'll see someone and go, wow, this person looks like an asshole. Or wow, that person looks like a bitch. And they'll be the most wonderful people in the world. And you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, that's very weird. The fact that here's this person who you think is going to be literally like an absolute dick, and they're very, very nice. But then the flip side of that, and this really, really messes me up big time, because you just don't know anymore. I will have people come up to me who will look so happy. You know, they'll practically be skipping. And they'll come over and like cuss me out about something. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, what the hell just happened? You know, I had a lady the other day comes up to me. And she had a big smile on her face. And, you know, I was like, oh, like, maybe she's going to ask for directions or something. She comes over to me, and this is exactly what she says to me. Yes, hello. Your washroom is a fucking disgrace. Thanks. And she walked away. And I went, wait, what just happened? Like, what? Like, oh my God. And that was me perceiving this woman as someone who's probably going to be genuinely happy. And it turned out she wasn't happy, but she has, I guess, what you call a resting happy face, if that is a thing. Who even, and I'm sure everyone knows someone like this too, who they will literally they will have this look on their face like they'll be so happy, and you're like, what's going on? Why are you so happy? I'm not. It's like, oh yeah. It's like, damn, okay. Well, I'll just be over here. Like, you just never know. People sometimes, I feel people are getting harder to read. Like, I always prided myself on being a very good judge of character, and being able to kind of judge how someone's going to react to me or to someone serving them or something like that, just by looking at them and reading their body language. And I find lately, I haven't been able to do that. It's been just so weird. People lately are just being very, very weird. But are these people really as miserable or as happy as they are perceived? I think a lot of the times that answer is no. As I've kind of been talking about, the resting Beardface and the resting bitchface and all this stuff today. Like, you're out and say you're going to a store and someone they have to be happy for you, but you can tell they're probably miserable people, even though they're putting on this front and they're like, hello, how are you? Hi, blah, 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 blah. It's crazy how people can be so not fake, but just like, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for here, but they can just be acting like they're happy. And then flip side, you got people who are just like, they're such good actors. They'll act so miserable, and like I said, we all know someone like this who they will act miserable to get attention or something. And then it turns out there's nothing for them to actually be miserable about. And it's like, man, so then when something actually happens, you don't know how to perceive it. I can sit here all day and talk about customers who I thought would be the happiest people. I had one customer in particular. I think I've told the story on the podcast before, but I'm going to tell it again because it's an interesting story. I had this guy come into the store, Geeks Music, one time, and he came in. He pulls up in this really nice, fancy, expensive car, right? And he gets out. He's in really nice clothing. He's probably got on a pair of $1,000 sunglasses. He comes wandering in, and I'm like, okay, this will be interesting. Comes walking in, big smile on his face, and he looks like the happiest guy in the world. Why wouldn't he be? He clearly has money. Even though money cannot buy you happiness, it can buy you very nice things that you want, and sometimes that can make you happy, depending on the kind of person you are. And he's kind of wandering around the store, and how are you today, sir? Fine. And I'm asking him if he needs help or stuff, and he's just being a miserable prick. And I'm just like, damn, it got to the point where, finally I just stopped trying to talk to him because I was just like, I don't need this shit. And he was asking me about this one guitar he wanted, and he was just being a dick, just the biggest prick in the world. And when he left, another customer had come in after, when he was still in there, and after he left, the customer said to me, he said, there's a guy who probably has everything in the world he's ever wanted, and he looks like he'd be the happiest guy in the world, and he should be the happiest guy in the world, really. I mean, I'm sure there's other stuff in his life he's lacking, but he's like, what's he got to complain about? His bills are probably all paid. He's got food on the table. He's got a roof over his head. He's got everything he wants. Why would he be miserable? And it's just funny how I really took to the heart, and I went, I guess there's some things money can't buy, and it's true happiness, and it's funny how people will just be perceived that way. Oh, that guy should be the happiest person in the world, but they're not. Kind of case in point, you got a situation like, say, with CM Punk when he left the WWE a few years ago, a couple years ago. When he left, I mean, he was just miserable. He hated it. He was this thing that he loved, and he just hated it. And people would say to him, oh, well, can't you just be happy? You're living a dream. You're working for the WWE. You have all this money. Just shut up and be happy. And he's just like, but, I'm not happy. Money can't buy happiness, guys. And that was what he had always said, that he's just like, I can't do it anymore. I'm not happy. And why am I going to sit here and pretend to be happy and everyone perceive me as this miserable prick when in reality, I'm not. I'm not happy. So that can have something to do with it. You have a situation like if someone leaves a band or something, most of the time it's because they're not happy with either the direction the band's going in or they're not happy, period. You got someone like Adam Grantier from 3 Days Grace. Like when he left 3 Days Grace, even though he kind of said it was like for health reasons or whatever, and I don't necessarily agree with that, but it is what it is. When he left, the biggest thing that he said kind of now that he says is he's like, I wasn't happy anymore. Like, what the hell? I don't owe you guys anything. Like, I've given you my heart and soul for the past, I think it was like 10 years or more or something like that. And when I'm not happy and I'm unhappy, you expect me to continue to be unhappy and again, be perceived as this miserable person who's just always sad and angry. Like, you don't want that. And he didn't want that out of his life anymore, so he left. And if you let people perceive you as a miserable person or as an unhappy person, and you just let that happen, then you know what? That's probably going to be what people think of you. I can speak from experience where there's people on my Facebook who I know they're not that miserable of people, but god damn it, all they post is just this miserable stuff or just negative stuff all the time. Nothing but negative statuses, nothing but angry posts about all this and this, and they're sharing like memes and stuff that are just angry, and it's like, man, like, why are you letting people perceive you like this, And then they'll say, oh, well, I'm not an angry person or a spiteful person. It's like, well, yeah, you are, because you're posting all this stuff. It's the way people are perceiving you. You should never let people's opinions of you or their perception of you affect you in any way, shape, or form. Let me just say that. But if you let people perceive you this way, they're going to go, oh, well, here's TJ. All he does is post stuff about his podcast. So all he ever cares about in his life is his podcast, which, let me just say, is not necessarily the case. This podcast is a big part of my life, and it's my hobby. It's what I do. I love doing it, but there's a lot more important things in my life than friggin' podcasting. Case in point, my wonderful, amazing girlfriend. If I choose between her or the podcast, guess what's getting chosen? I shouldn't have to say the friggin' answer there, so no one make any dumb jokes. I can just picture, like right now, if like say Brandon Bowden is listening, he would go, "Oh, bye, Sam." Kind of bringing a quick little light on this here, but get it, quick little light, Samantha light, get it? Stupid jokes are my thing, but it's funny how we perceive these people as being miserable or negative when in reality, are they really that miserable? Are they really as miserable as they perceive? Is that guy you're seeing walking down the street mumbling and grumbling to himself, is he really that miserable? Is he really mumbling and grumbling to himself, or is he singing a song in his head? You never know. I know I do that. I'll walk by someone at work and I'll be mumbling to myself, and they'll be like, "Oh, what's your problem?" And I'll be like, I'm singing to myself. They're like, "Seriously?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, so maybe, hey, you perceived me as being this miserable person who is grumbling to myself, and in reality, that's not even the case. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is, resting bitchface, resting beardface aside, you never want to judge people for being miserable if they do you are perceiving them that way, because maybe sometimes they're not. Are they really that miserable? I don't know. Like I said, there are a lot of miserable people in the world. Don't get me wrong. And I think some of the miserable people need to really take a long look at themselves and think, well, why am I so miserable? What's wrong with me? What can I do to make myself less miserable? And like I said, obviously, if people are going through things in life and that kind of thing, they get a pass. But just people who are miserable for no apparent reason. Those are the people I'm talking about. Like if I started randomly being an absolute miserable prick all the time, I'd have no reason to be. And like, I would expect my friends and my family and Sam to check me big time. They'd be like, why are you so miserable? Everyone's entitled to a bad day, but maybe keep that in mind. Don't let people's perception of you affect you in any negative way, but be mindful of how you present yourself to people, I guess is what I'm driving at here. And people on the outside, don't judge everyone so hard. Maybe they're not that miserable. Who knows? But that's kind of all I wanted to talk about today. Definitely some very interesting topics, some funny things brought up with the resting beard face and that kind of thing. Let me know what you guys think about this whole thing. I always love to hear from you guys about anything. You can hit me up at any time on any of my social medias. If you don't know what they are, I'll give them to you right now. We've got the Facebook. Just search The Harder Show on Facebook. I'll pop right up. You got my Twitter handle at The Harder Show, all one word. You have my Instagram, which is at The Harder Show, all one word as well. You can always email me at any time, guys. The Harder Show, all one word, all lowercase, at gmail.com. I'm a little slow getting back to the emails. For some reason, I can't get the notifications on my phone for my email to show up. I don't know why. I'm not very tech savvy, if you guys couldn't figure it out by now, because I have so many computer issues and that kind of thing. But definitely hit me up on the email anytime. I've been kind of using my Twitter more lately. Just kind of tweeting more and that kind of thing. I always post on Instagram as much as possible. You can also follow me on my Snapchat. It's my personal Snapchat, but I post a lot of stuff for the podcast on there. It's Terrence, Terrance, James, James, all one word, no spaces or lower undercases or any of that kind of bullshit. Just Terrence James. Hit me up. I snap. I'll go through phases where I won't Snapchat for like a week. And then I'll Snapchat like 80 times in a day. So you never know. Snapchat was also where I did my cooking, my heavy metal cooking video, which is a kind of a funny little Snapchat story thing. You can check that out on my YouTube channel. If you have not seen it, if you are listening on the YouTube channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button right now. Leave a like, dislike on the video, depending on what you thought of it. And of course, comment away. I know the YouTube isn't the most popular way that people listen to The Harder Show, but either way, I'm going to keep putting them up there because you never know. I know I at least have one or two people who check out the podcast that way every once in a while. So I'll leave it up for you guys. It's not like it's a bunch of work to put it up that way anyway. If you are listening on the SoundCloud, the old faithful SoundCloud, be sure to hit that like button on this podcast and subscribe to The Harder Show as well. If you don't have an account, I highly suggest you make one. SoundCloud's great, very easy. Once you subscribe to The Harder Show on SoundCloud, you'll get everything first right there. SoundCloud is how I have to upload it on the SoundCloud before I upload it to anything else, basically. So it's just easier that way if you want to keep up and be first to hear the podcast. There are times even, guys, I'll let you in a little secret here. Breaking kayfabe a little bit. There are times where Saturday night, I'll actually upload the podcast very late at night, and so that it's ready for the next morning on iTunes, because I upload it on SoundCloud to put it on iTunes in the RSS feed. So I have to have it uploaded there at least for I think about an hour before it goes on the iTunes. So sometimes I'll put it up. I'll leave it as public. So definitely hit that subscribe button if you want to keep up with what's going on there. With Halloween coming up, I'm sure there might be a funny little tidbit or something on there about something that happened. You never know. We'll see what happens. I'm maybe breaking the fourth wall a little bit too much here with that, or breaking kayfabe, but definitely be sure to hit that subscribe button, and also check out a bunch of other very awesome podcasts that are on SoundCloud as well. Last couple episodes ago, I talked about the Thing About podcast, which is one of my new favorite podcasts. A couple of great guys who talk about a little bit of kind of everything. They're all over the place, but very good podcast. I really enjoy it. They're funny dudes, and they're Australian, mate. So, hey, that's funny too. Not funny in the sense of they sound funny or anything. I like Australian people. I think it's funny. They have some sayings and stuff like that I think are really funny, and I use actually. No worries, mate. I say no worries all the time, so whatever it is. But the Thing About podcast, be sure to check them out. Couple of good guys, funny, have some good conversation. So definitely check them out if you have not. They should be posting a podcast sometime this week, hopefully so. So shout out to those guys once again. Be sure to like them on Facebook because they're a couple of good dudes and good podcasts. You, of course, have the old 1-2 Pro Wrestling Podcast as well on SoundCloud that I listen to all the time. Haven't been able to check out his latest episode yet, but I have a point today to listen to that because I am a little behind. But Jake is a great guy, always has great content, so be sure to check him out. Very, very good stuff. And one more podcast, actually, that I always forget to mention, and I have no idea why, because I also really enjoy this podcast, and that is the Press X to Jump podcast. You can also find them on Facebook, but mainly on SoundCloud. Press X to Jump, just the letter X. Very good podcast, kind of talking about a whole bunch of different stuff, life stuff, funny stories, and that kind of thing. So I like podcasts that are more real, kind of everyday people who podcast. So I guess that's why I like to give shout-outs to podcasts that are kind of the same vibe as mine in a way. Obviously, the old 1-2 is strictly a pro wrestling podcast, but I also do cover wrestling. So, yeah, so shout out to those podcasts. Be sure to check them out if you're on the SoundCloud as well. Subscribe to them. Very good stuff. And lastly but not leastly, I want to say thank you to everybody who has subscribed on the iTunes and who has given ratings on the iTunes and who checks us out on the iTunes. You guys know that is the easiest way to listen to The Harder Show, so be sure to hit that subscribe button to keep up with everything going on with The Harder Show on iTunes. Once you subscribe on iTunes, you don't even have to think about it, guys. All you have to do is have your device on, and once the podcast is uploaded onto iTunes, it will be automatically downloaded to that device of your choosing. It's so easy, guys. While you're there, if you haven't yet, maybe leave the Harder Show a little rating. Even if it's not a 5-star rating, that's okay, guys. I understand that this is not the best podcast in the world. Don't get me wrong. I know this is a hobby podcast in a way. I am your everyday average dude who just likes the podcast and tell stories and talk and that kind of thing. So that's why I do this podcast. So I know it is not a studio done podcast. I know I am not the most entertaining person in the world, but either way, you know, if you enjoy the podcast, you get some laughs out of it and that kind of thing. Be sure to leave a rating. I always appreciate it. I appreciate every single one of you for taking the time out of your day to listen to this podcast. Seriously means the world to me. Thank you so much. I cannot believe we are on episode 69. Seriously, again. So, episode 69 of the Harder Show, ladies and gentlemen. I had to do something punny about it. See what I did there? Punny. So that's going to do it for me here today, guys. Thank you so much. I will catch you guys on Sunday for episode 70 of the podcast. Be sure to tune in for that. Take it easy.